All right, so that was a pretty good top set. I could tell that I was a little bit weaker than I would like, but I'm not too worried about it. I lowered my arch a little bit, and I don't think I lost any strength with just the range of motion, but I think where I placed my hands with the lower arch just wasn't a very good position. So on my back down sets, I tried to widen my grip slightly. I usually have them about an inch away from the soft part, and I just widened it out to 2 inches. And I could feel pretty strong in the position. It was a lot easier to stack my wrist, and my back hurt a lot less in my setup. But I can tell that I'm not completely used to the new movement pattern yet. So sometimes when I go to push, I either sometimes I go back a little bit too far, and then it takes a little bit for me to get back into position. I also feel a little bit more stable on the bench because recently I've been having some trouble with slipping, and having more of my upper back on the bench helps a lot with that. One problem that I did have with that is that I could tell that my joints weren't really used to the new position yet. So I could tell when I lowered the weight, my shoulders felt a little bit uncomfortable. But I'm really not too worried about it because the same thing happened when I was just learning how to stack my wrist, because my elbows are farther away from my body, and it just puts my shoulders under a little bit more stress. I will admit that was a bad time to start with the new setup, since it's a little bit harder to focus on form while at heavy weights. But I do think the back downs helped a lot with that, because the weight's a lot lighter, and if I had a misgroove or something, I could just correct my form and then try to make sure that I don't do it again. I've also been trying to get a little bit more into programming. I made my own. It was not like a full program, just kind of the basic idea of what it was going to be. I asked my coach what he thought about it, and he actually gave really good feedback. He said it seemed like I was just trying to do too much at once, which is very in character for me, and it made me think about kind of exactly how I want it to be. And so I think right now I'm going to focus on more of a power building program, just because I've already been through a build. So I think it'll be a little bit easier to take what I liked from that and then apply it into my own program. I don't know exactly how I want to do it right now, but I have been a little bit focused on AMRAPs lately. So I think that I'm going to use those as the test instead of just a normal 1 rep max, so I can still have the build aspect of it with training the failure and stuff like that. I've also been watching a lot of program reviews. One that sticks out is in Alexander Bromley one. It was of his Bull Mastiff program, and that actually had AMRAPs built into it, which is why I wanted to put it in the one that I'm making. Mostly because the routine that I had came up with right before I actually got into powerlifting was about training the failure and stuff. And actually the whole thing about that program, the entire goal was to do as many things as possible. So it had low rep to failure, high rep to double that. So let's say I do a set with about 70%, and I would get 8 reps. Then I would drop 10 to 20 pounds, and then I do 16 reps. And I would do that for every workout. So I had one lift for each muscle group, I think. I think for some of them I had two. I'm not entirely sure. It was a little bit ago, so I don't really remember. And I had it on a 5-day-a-week bro split. So one muscle group every day. And part of the reason why I switched to a powerlifting style of training was because I realized that I wasn't training intense enough, because I would only go up 5 pounds every 3 weeks for each lift. And then I realized that every time I would PR, the weight would get progressively lighter than last time. And I think the reason for that, why like it wasn't intense enough, was because I didn't know what failure was. Because from that point, I had every single PR, and they were getting progressively easier. But then one day I decided to just keep going up until I hit failure on my PR, and I failed like a 360 squat. And I rewatched the video and I saw that I had it, but then I got to a sticking point and then I just stopped because I hadn't really built up my brain muscle to the point where I was able to just kind of lock in and just push through and ignore the pain pretty much. And I can tell that that's also progressed a lot because I'm at a lot lower of an RPE where I am currently in my training than I was, say, a couple months ago. So it would make sense, or it would at least make sense to me, that it would have kind of gone down and I wouldn't be able to really push as much as I had before. But I can, like, in my brain, I can feel that if push came to shove, I could, like right now, I could just pull 500, or like I would smoke 300 right now. Like this is the day after I benched yesterday. I would smoke 300 right now. Just load 300 on the bar, bench that easily, probably for like 2-3 reps. Well, maybe not 3 reps, but you get my point. It's like I've just been slowly building it up. Like every time 85% feels like an RPE 6, or if I accidentally put a little bit too much weight on the bar and I didn't realize, because that's just how much I've progressed. It just makes me not want to stop and just go all out at 100%, and not even like because I have to prove it to someone or anything, just because I can, just because I'm that strong that I can just do these things. And honestly, that's probably like the best feeling in the world right now, just knowing that you can. But that's pretty much it. I'm feeling pretty good about the new change in bench, and yeah, I'll see you next time.